I'm still a little bit sickly, I'm not going to lie to you, but you know, session after run. So that's what we're here to do today. I am just going to, as the room warms up, I'm just going to share the live a little bit. We're going to be talking about lessons learned in life and love. So effectively, we're going to be talking about accountability. What have you learned from, I put life as well, because I didn't just want to focus this conversation about relationships, because I think not everyday relationships, in it, you know, sometimes let's just have little life lessons as well. I know relationships play a big part in our life journeys, but also I'm kind of feeling like just generally a little bit broader. So of course we're going to touch on the relationships, but again, we're going to expand a little bit. So hello everyone who's in here. If you've never been here before, welcome. This is the Civilised Sessions. I am the Civilised Savage. We're here every Thursday, 8:30. The past couple of weeks, it's been a panel discussion. I don't have a panel today. So this is the first time we're having Civilised Sessions with just me. However, you guys are more than invited to come up. In a moment, I will kind of be allowing people to come up. So send your requests in. If you've got anything that you want to contribute, absolutely chime in, because I want to hear from everybody. Yeah. Thank you. The conversation that we're having today is going to touch a lot on accountability, and it's about life and love, and we're talking about our experiences. So I really do want to hear from people and their experiences, things that they've been through, because I feel like when we share, it really supports other people as well. And sometimes we might think that we're telling the truth, and then sometimes it takes someone to listen to us and be like, is it really? Do you want to expand on that a little bit? Are we actually telling the truth there, babes? Can we probe and push a little bit more to see if maybe we're not being as truthful as we like to think we are being? Yeah. So there's that as well. All right. So before I start any session, you guys, if you've been here before, familiar, do my housekeeping. I like to shout out my members. I show love to the people who show love to me. So everyone who has already clicked this little heart thing here and has become a member, big up your skin. Yeah, when I'm famous and I bust, I won't forget you. Yeah, you lot are locked in from early, so you lot are going to be the ones. So I read out all the names all the time. All of my members, and also shout out my mod squad, because my mod squad are the ones who keep everything streaming. You know, anyone does anything untoward, they just get dashed out, because my mods are not going to have it, because they protect me. Yeah? Okay, cool. So my mod squad are Alexander, the food guy, Bike Man, and TikTok Sweet Shop. Shout out my mods. Yes, the day ones, they're in, locked in from early, yeah? So when everything goes where it's intended to go, you lot already know. Who's this in already? You lot, okay, Bear, hang back in the green room for me for a second, yeah? Just, I'll get to you. But thank you very much for the invitation. You don't have to withdraw it. I will get through people, so keep your requests for panel there, so I know who wants to come and talk to me. All right, boom. So thank you, baby. So also I have to give a special shout out to Halo, because Halo was actually the person who put this theme to me for today. So shout out Halo. She's the one who said, sis, when you do your next Civilized Sessions, do you think you could talk about this? So big up Halo for suggesting this topic. All credit goes to her, to be fair. And the actual question, if I can get it, let me get it. The actual question was, can we talk about lessons that we've learned from previous relationships and the things that we've had to change about ourselves to improve moving forward? The reason why I kind of wanted to touch on this as well is because you don't know, I hold space for men often. I've got a lot of guy friends, and I'm always hearing feedback from guys how they feel about women. And one of the things that they say is women don't know how to be accountable. So it's like women don't listen and women don't know how to be accountable. And so part of the question is, okay, well, what does that even look like, people being accountable? And there's always this thing like, we have to hold the women accountable. My personal feeling, and I'm going to share this and then you guys can tell me, because some people will argue that what I'm saying is just semantics. I don't think that is. However, I'll put it out to you and you lot can tell me. So my personal feeling about accountability is that you can't hold anybody accountable. Okay? Hear me out. I don't think you can hold anyone accountable. I believe that you can hold people to account. So this is now where the point where people say, it's just semantics. But again, listen to what I'm saying. I think being accountable for something is a personal process. Yeah? You can hold someone to account in the sense that I can bring something to your attention and I can say to you, that thing that you did was X, Y, and Z. Thoughts by D, big up yourself. Hello, darling. You know, I didn't like this. I thought that this was inappropriate. Whatever the case, bringing something to somebody's attention, in my opinion, is holding someone to account. You're alerting them to the thing that you think was incorrect. Yeah. But even when you bring this to this person's attention, no changed behavior is necessarily going to happen unless that person within themselves decides to take on board what you have said and make said changes. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense to anybody. So for me, you can hold people to account. You can tell people what you believe that they've done wrong. But the actual process of accountability is a personal job. That's coming from the changed behavior. And you can't make anybody change their behavior from my perspective. So lots of people saying 1, 1, 1. All right, cool. Self-awareness. Big up Julieta in the chat. Lovely to see you here this evening, darling. Self-awareness, absolutely. All right. So we've got a few people in here at the minute. Thank you to my mods. Love. All right, cool. So lots of people have said 1. So that's kind of my take on holding people to account versus accountability. Yeah. Another thing that I will say on the whole issue of accountability, let me draw this up because I actually came across this definition in a book that I was reading for my teacher training. And it was from a book by Jenny Garrett, and I think it's called Equality and Diversity. Don't quote me on that. And although it was centered around education and work, I thought it was a beautiful concept about accountability that I don't think a lot of us tap into. So let me just do my little quick find, because it was a quote and I don't remember it. I'm not going to remember it. I'm not going to act like I did. All right. So, and the reason why I think it's important, this particular, right. So the quote says, accountability is a process of inviting somebody into themselves in a way that is supported, encouraged, and holds them to deliver on their promises. So I want to think about that for a second. Yeah. It's the way that you can call people into themselves in a way that they're supported, encouraged, and held to deliver on their promises. Now, when I read that, I thought that was so dope because I feel like, right? I feel like when people want to hold people accountable, it's usually with shame, with blame, with creating a big scene. You have to make them know, because this and then my thing is, okay, but where does that give them space to learn and to make changes if all they're just like find themselves on the defensive because you're just attacking them, you're blaming them for stuff. They don't have an opportunity to really see internally for themselves what's happened, right? And then you don't get any results. Whereas if you bring someone's attention to the situation in a way that's supported and encouraged, they can potentially make changes. So effectively, it's not blaming, it's not shaming, it's this happened. How can we potentially work together, if that's the case, to get a different outcome? Because I think in any situation, that's ultimately what we want, isn't it? We've seen something that's happened that we feel is a little bit untoward and we want a different outcome at this point. Yeah. So what can we do collectively to make that happen? Or how can I assist you for you to create that change for yourself and people who might be surrounding you? Yeah. 1 in the chat if that makes sense. And I'm going to open up the panel in a second. Big up DS Fitness in the building. Antoinette, big up yourself. Matt says 1. Empress C says 1. Snell says 1. All right, so disclaimer, I am going to open up the panel because I do want people to come up and speak to me. However, this space today is all about lessons learned. Yeah, we're talking about accountability, holding ourselves to account. So let me be careful about how I'm going to say what I'm going to say. If you feel confident enough in your ability to hold yourself accountable and speak truth, yeah, feel free to come up. Because what we're not trying to do today is the dancing thing, innit? Yeah, but they like, we're not trying to do that, yeah? Men say that women can't be accountable, so I especially do kind of want to hear from some women today because I want to shift the narrative. So if there's guys here in the chat, they can see, actually, no, I was in that live and a couple women went up there and they really owned their thing. They really said what they did, what they could do moving forward, and they really showed up. So Let's see. Sorting my babies out and listening. No problem, my darling. The unconscious men say that. That's interesting. All right, so I'm going to call. In fact, let me not call because consent is a thing. I don't just want to force people into the panel. Bear, if you're still here, please feel free to jump in. And if anybody currently would like to come onto the panel, now is your opportunity to come and jump up and share some experiences and talk to me because I've got questions for the people, right? So there's that. While we're kind of adjusting to people coming in potentially, I will open by being an example, I guess, and say that we've got two. We've got a lady and a gentleman. I love this. Lovely, lovely, jubbly.
Hello.
All right, so I was going to say, so my first question, let me get into my question. Guys, would you mind just muting both of your mics for a second, please? That would be really helpful. Thank you. So what I kind of want to know, first of all, is have you guys ever experienced a situation where you have had to hold yourself accountable, and what did that look like for you? Yeah, that's my kind of first question. Have you ever had to hold yourself? Maybe something happened and you were like, I don't really want to own this, you know. I really don't want to own it, but let me just stand on my 2 or my 10 toes and just be like, okay, I was the person who did some shegries here, and this is what happened. Has anyone got that situation?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Losing my voice. Sorry.
The audience, if you could turn your TV down, please.
Yeah, I can't lose that. There you go. You're gonna have to bear with me because I'm losing my voice. So you have to bear with me.
Lurgies are going around. I'm ill myself. Go on, babes.
This is a deep thing, but yeah, there's been a few times where I've had to, you know, say, you know what, I actually kind of messed up there, and you need to, so sort of like, I think for myself, it's a situation where when I haven't been experiencing what I feel is sort of levels of like affection, intimacy, I've gone to other people to get a certain level of validation. It's not easy to admit, but that's just me. You know, you want real, so I'm gonna give you real. You see what I'm saying? So, and it's one of,
there's no judgment.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, it's one of them situations where the validation just comes in terms of just speaking on a level, you know, like, how can I word it? You know, just. So
sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Bear, because I hear you're getting to it, but I just kind of want to know. So you've already acknowledged, like, I wasn't getting enough affection, and I love the fact that you said it was you. I went to seek the validation and the care outside of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, with that in mind, what do you think you could have done differently or would do differently if you found yourself in that same situation again?
It's about having a conversation with the person. So whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's work related, it's like that. Sorry, excuse me. The actual situations are relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about trying to have a conversation with said person and being like, yo, listen, I need more. What are you saying? And if they can give you more, fantastic. Because what we also have to remember as well is certain people might not have the capacity to be able to give us more. You know, they might be at their full capacity. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. And I think that's in the past what I haven't understood. So if in any situation, as I said, work, personal relationships, friendships, you've got to try and assess what their capacity is.
All right.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm going to pause you there just for like, because I think there's a few other people that want to come in, and we've got a mindset on the panel as well. But just so I've heard what you said. So effectively you were saying, like, whatever the situation is, whether it's a romantic, whether it's platonic, whether it's whatever the relationship, it's all about having a conversation to convey what your needs are. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
No, and I hear that because I feel like that is something that a lot of us have experienced. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that. I think a lot of us have this concept that people are just supposed to know how to treat us. I think that's a concept I see from women so often.
Yeah.
Well, if you loved me, if you knew me, you would know what to do, bro. No, just no. Because if you haven't said explicitly, how am I supposed to know this?
Yeah,
So I
facts.
really do believe that it's a detriment to people, especially women. Yeah. This assumption that people should just know what your needs are, what you want, how to treat you. I don't necessarily believe that people just know that off the bat. So I totally hear you that communication, conveying what it is you need, is essential.
Yeah.
So thank you for that there. Let's come to mindset. Welcome to the conversation. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. How are you guys?
Doing okay. Getting through a flu, but kind of good. Just okay.
Yeah, I had that a couple of weeks ago, so I know how that feels, man. I was thinking, oh my gosh, you need to blow her nose, poor thing.
I listen. I got them up at hand, babes.
Yeah, no. I want to just say that from the start, I'm always the person that will say, I'm gonna hold my hands up. You know, whatever situation, I'm gonna take my medicine. I would rather have it sooner rather than later. That's just the type of person I am. You know, I don't want to kind of beat around the bush. I'm like, all right, okay, fair enough. Boom, you know, it's me. And I'm okay with that. I'm fully okay with that. And I think I agree with what Brother Bear said and what you're saying as well, is that, you know, it's a conversation, but you have to have a conversation and a relationship is a two-way street, you know, whoever you're having it with, you know, and you can't, it's difficult, but like what you said, you just can't beat someone over the head if they literally don't know you, don't understand you, you know. And what Brother Bear said was a very, very poignant thing, to be fair, is that some people are at their capacity. I've come out of a relationship like that and I was upset and I was ready to fight the person at that time. And then I thought to myself, as time went on, I was like, they don't know. They don't know. They
got no
can't
clue.
help. You know?
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, that when I saw that, I thought to myself, what am I actually doing? You know, why am I charging towards this person?
Yeah.
It's not, nothing's going to come out of this apart from stress.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, 100%.
I completely hear that. And I feel like that's another thing that we sometimes do is kind of, sometimes we feel like we can see what's happening. And it's like, you just want to get the person by the throat and be like, why can't you see the thing? Why can't you just do the thing? And it's like, they don't have necessarily the insight that we have about it. And we can't force people to see things that they just don't see. I think like things, you know, when they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And sometimes we might feel like we are the teacher for the person, but if the individual is not ready for the lesson, we can't teach them, even if we feel like we've got all the information. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 in the chat if that resonated with anybody. And also, guys, feel free to kind of send your invitations to come in, because I will be rotating people, because I want to get lots of, excuse me, different opinions about the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. If you've been here on live before, I do have panels, but I'm not, for my own boundaries, I can't take the knives, so I'm not going to have a bag of people all in like scream. No, that's not how this happens over here. So I do want to hear from people. I do want you to come in and share your insights, but I will be switching people out and keeping people on a rotation. So just keep the invitations coming and I will kind of switch and change people out. All right, so just quick comments check before we move on. Yes, thank you. Smash the like button. Appreciate you. Requires vulnerability though. D, do you want to come in and chat to me and expand on what exactly requires vulnerability? And while I've got you two up here, and sometimes we need to release control, absolutely, there is a level of being able to release control. And I think for a lot of us, that's really hard to do. Relinquishing control and letting go. You know, we hear this all the time. Just learn to let go. Like, I'm a yoga instructor, for those of you who don't know. And in the well-being world, in the yogic world, there's always like, just let go. Just release. But not a lot of people actually talk about what that looks like. How do I let go? What are the things strategically? Like, what are the tangible steps that I can take to learn to let go? It's not an easy thing. And it's definitely not an easy thing if you're not in a practice or you haven't been given the tools to even know how to do that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Thoughts by D. I also believe that that's quite challenging for a lot of people. I wanted to ask you guys while you're here currently. Oopsie, where's it gone? I wanted to ask you, is there anything that you guys have struggled to let go of particularly? I'm going to bring Thoughts by Dia now.
Can I go?
Yeah,
That's my
go.
last call.
There you go. And then once you make your comment, I'm going to let Thoughts by D go, and I'm going to switch you out if that's okay.
Yeah, that's calm. No stress at all. No stress at all. What was the question again? Sorry,
Is there
apologies.
anything that you ever struggled to let go of?
Let go of. You know what? I think it's the fact that I'm so nice to a point that I allow people accidentally, obviously, to take advantage of my kind nature, and I need to relinquish that niceness and just be a bit more, I don't know how to explain it, a bit more rough and ready, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do
Because
get it now.
there's being nice, and then there's being nice to a point where you're allowing people to basically walk all over you and in some ways control you because my emotions are so high. It's one of them situations. Sorry, excuse me. Where I just put all my feelings to the back burner and allow people to then just trample on, and then I'm led by my emotions. So in certain situations that I've been in, I know I should have left a long time, but but because of
I mean, sorry, put a one in the chat if you've ever been in a situation where you knew you should have left from long time, but for whatever reason you were still there. Because Bear, I do not think you're alone in this. Put a one in the chat if that has been you. What that sounds like to me, Bear, is an element of people pleasing. Jalita, I'm going to come to you.
I am the biggest people pleaser there is, and the thing is, people pleasing can be it can be a positive and a negative, but a lot of people fall into the realm of thinking they're doing the positive thing, but it's impacting them in such a negative way that there's no way it can be a positive, if that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense, because what I'm hearing you say there is people might have the best intentions, they want to do good for people, they want to help, they want to do all of this outpouring, but ultimately they do so much outpouring to the detriment of their self. They're sacrificing themselves for other people. Yeah?
That's it.
And I think that's what you're saying. That when it gets to that point, you recognize that even though it's with good intentions, it's not actually beneficial, because now I'm either burnt out, or now I might get to a point of resentment because it's not being reciprocated, and then it's just a whole next situation. Yeah,
it's a whole madness, It's actually a whole madness. But yeah, I just think I need to start being the level of people pleaser that I am. It's a situation, as I said, it's not always a negative, but I need to be able to just take some control back for myself and be like, you know what, for example, I have asked you so many times that I need this or I need more, and you ain't giving it. You try, but it ain't enough. And it's okay. And the thing is, it's okay to tell someone that what they're doing isn't enough. But
let me just stick a pin right there, Bear. Let me just stick a pin right there, just because we're going to summarize it really quickly. Because like I said, sorry. Let me just make it very clear to everyone. Yeah, I am in the habit of listening and receiving, but just for the interest of time, because we are finishing at 9:30, and there's people in the invites, and I want to kind of tick over and get through. So I kind of hear Bear saying is like, we're just not doing that, innit? So we're just not going to get to a point where I'm now self-sacrificing for other people, because that's now to my detriment. Nobody benefits from me depleting myself. I have to be full. I have to be well. I have to be happy, I guess, to then be able to be working to support everyone else. And if I'm not, it's a done deal. So thank you for that, Bear. I'm going to drop you if that's okay, my darling. Thank you so much for your contributions.
No problem. See you later.
Appreciate you, baby. Ciao.
Cheers.
All right. We're going to go to Mindset. Did you have another contribution? Because I'm going to invite a few other people up. If you wanted to say anything about letting go.
I think it's a process.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
We can't beat ourselves up, although, we might think, it's looking into ourselves it seems as if we're becoming selfish if we don't this and this and this for people.
Yeah.
But realistically, the person that you need to please is yourself, so that you can go and flex with your life the way that you'd like it to be. And
Absolutely.
so I don't people please, but I am kind to people to a point until I see a need to be otherwise. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
No, I love that. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think a lot of people could learn from that. There's no harm in being kind. But again, we have to be kind to self first. It's that whole analogy of, like, you know, when you're on the airplane and they say, put your mask on first. You have to put your mask on, then you can help other people. It don't make sense. You pass out. Now what are you going to do? It don't make sense. So mask on first, everybody, then sort out everyone else. Thank you for your contributions, Mindset. I'm going to give you a drop. Feel free to stay in the conversation and keep communicating with us in the comments. Okay, my darling? Love you. Thank giving all the gifts, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for gifting up the panel. Thank you for sharing with me also. Right, we're at 9 o'clock, so we're midway through. So I'm just going to do a quick comments check and then a room reset for anybody who's come in, and then we'll readdress the panel who are currently here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Civilised.
Yes, babes.
I just want to quickly, because I'm not going to be able to stay long.
Okay, go.
I just want to touch on what Brother Bear was saying around he, in short, kind of lacks boundaries and is unable to say no and kind of speak to that. Most of the time when we lack boundaries, it's things that we've learned from young.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to learn how to heal that, it's learning about your attachment styles. So once you learn your attachment styles, you can heal and try and be no one ever is 100% secure, by the way, when it comes to attachment style, but you can heal in a way and learn. Actually, the reason why I give so much is because there's something inside of me that I actually really need to give to myself. And oftentimes the reason why we don't do that is because a lot of us were born into kind of like caregiver roles. You know what I mean? So because we're caregivers, we're then putting other people's needs before ourselves, because a part of us is seeking that deep kind of validation.
Yeah.
And self is such a hard concept to actually grasp. What is the self, and how do you actually harness yourself and please yourself from a subconscious level and also subconscious? I think the best thing you have to do is like learn your shadow work. And if you don't know what shadow work is, TikTok engine is your friend. Go and type in shadow work.
Because I mean, no, can you stay for a little bit? For you, what does that look like? Because I feel like shadow work is such an important part of a healing journey. And again, it's one of those kind of buzzwords that we hear so often, but again, people talk about it and there isn't necessarily insight and tangible instructions for people to follow to do this work. I feel like I'm lucky because I'm somebody who's has access to therapy, and I know that therapy isn't accessible to everybody. And I think being in therapy has provided me tangible ways of getting into my shadows. So kind of talk on that with you being a therapist in training, guys, plug for my guy. Talk a little bit about that for everybody here, please.
So I think this is a funny thing. Everyone does have access to therapy, even free therapy, but it's breaking down the stigma of what therapy is and allowing yourself to be in a vulnerable. When I put in the chat about you have to learn to be vulnerable, you have to learn how to speak to your inner child. So the shadow work for me personally, okay, the reason why I got into shadow work was I came out of a marriage, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't believe in sharing things personally to me on platforms, but I'll talk about I came out of a marriage and I realized I'd given all of this energy and I couldn't see what I had left for myself. So I had to go back to my childhood. I had to look at how were my parents. My parents went through a divorce, so because they went through a divorce, I tried everything to keep that relationship together. Didn't matter what it was, didn't matter what was said, I tried to keep it together. But shadow work essentially is addressing the parts of yourself that aren't known to you and allowing your inner child. Because what ends up happening is that your inner child will be screaming and be like, I don't like when I'm not seen. I don't like when I'm not heard. Whatever it is. And then your inner critique comes out and be like, and says, shut up, don't say that, close up, get angry. Shadow work allows you to actually go to your inner child and say, it's okay. You're allowed to feel this way.
Yeah.
But it takes a level of knowing what your higher self, which is your ideal self, is saying to you. If you don't have that kind of awareness, the way that you can sharpen that is by meditation, journaling, having a therapist, and having vulnerable spaces. A lot of people do not have vulnerable spaces, especially like on TikTok Live. There's not a lot of vulnerable spaces where you can actually go and share your heart and it not be laughed at. A lot of the time, again, we're talking about when I said the unconscious man. The unconscious man is following the rhetoric of what is put in front of him and not
Yeah.
what's within him. That makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense. You touched on a lot of beautiful points there. I think one of the things that I'm a key takeaway, what I heard was you have to be ready for shadow
Yeah,
work.
you do, because
Yeah.
it's hard.
It's challenging and it's not called shadow work for no reason. That gets dark. Yeah. That stuff will take you to places that if you're not ready, it will send you. So it's not an easy process. So again, what I'm hearing from
No.
what you're saying is it is a really powerful tool to help people to get through things, but it's something you have to be really mindful about where you currently are in order to really be able to access what that can bring for you. Because if you're not ready for it, then it's going to almost be counterproductive as opposed to being able to heal. It probably hurt you more than it will heal you. Would you agree with
Yeah.
that?
There's a phrase called locus of evaluation, and what that is, it allows you to explore your internal world and your external world. Your external are the things that are outside of you, and most of the time, that's sort of things that are impacted by your inner child. I just want to touch on what someone said. What if your inner child has given up? The funny thing is that if your inner child's given up and it's still allowing you to react, it hasn't given up. It's still saying, "I need to
I
be
need to
loved.
be
I want
seen.
to be
Someone care
heard.
for me.
I need to be seen. Yeah, I need someone to care for me." It hasn't given up. That is an outdated mindset that you have and you continue to feed, you continue to
Yeah.
water. It's like a plant that is growing subconsciously. And actually, sometimes, no, really, sometimes we know we've got these parts of ourselves. You know, when people go around and they say things like, that's just who that person is and that's just how I am. I'm not going to change. That is you, and with
Yeah.
a rigid mind, not a growth mindset. And don't get me wrong, these themes are not easy things to address. I
At
just want to
all.
say that it's not. But you shouldn't be scared of it. And the reason why you shouldn't be scared of it is because there's something about you that there's an utterance very deep inside of you that's saying, I know I could do better. I know I could be something else.
I love
Listen
that.
to it and you just take your time with it. You take your time with it. Like you read, I don't know, a couple of pages a day and you meditate on that and that's your meditation for the week. And it
I
might
love
be, I
that.
don't know, how do I learn to say no? It's
And I
November.
think that's a
I'm
very
trying to
big
say
one
no.
for a lot of people. That like
Yeah.
learning to say no, because when I asked who's been a people pleaser, like everybody dropped a one. And I think like learning to say no can be a really big part of kind of
Okay.
shifting that energy
Can
for
I
yourself.
can I challenge that people pleasing thing? Because I really don't think.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds and
Yeah,
then
for
we're
a
going to
second of
switch
that.
out.
Yeah, that's cool.
God,
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
don't want
Sorry,
to talk.
I know because of time. I know because of time as well. Sorry. The people pleasing thing's very interesting. So I'll tell you why. Because often you're not really pleasing anyone. You're pleasing yourself. You get something out of it too when you do that thing for that person, or you don't put yourself first. You get that. What's that word? You get that kind of like
Reward.
validation.
Okay.
You feel awarded. So I might say, you know, oh, because I came up on Civilized Savage platform, now people know who I am. Now I've got a sense of purpose. But actually, it was about me. It never really was about the other person. It's about the mirror that is presented. But anyway, yeah, that's what I would
That
say.
is a perspective. That is a perspective. No, because you know I'm thinking back to certain situations and I'm thinking, oh, okay, right,
Deep one,
guys. I
innit?
hope this is
Thank you for having me,
marinating.
yeah?
I hope it's ticking over for you the way it's ticking over for me because things are going. All right. Can we go to Mansour and then we're gonna go to Jalita? We've got like crazy comments right now. Can I get through them? There's so many comments right now today, guys. I'm loving the interaction though. Can I just say thank you very much? Shout out my mods. I could definitely learn from that. Thank you very much. What else have we got in here? Lots and lots of facts. And so people are basically blowing up these comments. Well, okay, excellent. I don't know that I'm going to be able to can my mods actually pin if there are any questions in the comments, mods, can you pin them so I can actually get through people's questions, please? Mansour, coming to you. What did you want to contribute, my bro?
I just wanted to. Oh, thanks for having me. I just wanted to say the guy that was speaking before.
Yes,
He was saying that he was kind, and now he feels like he needs to change who he is. I think a lot of people. The reason why they struggle to meet people is they don't have success with one person who didn't treat them how they wanted to. So they feel, or they're blaming themselves, so they feel like they need to change. And what ends up happening is you stop attracting the person that is actually for you. Just because someone doesn't accept you or treat you how you want to be treated, it's only that person. You shouldn't change who you are because the person who didn't want you didn't treat you right. You should continue to be yourself. And that's a part of self-acceptance, is to say to yourself, I'm okay waiting for my bus. I'm okay waiting for my train. That's all I wanted to say.
I love that, Mansour. It's reminding me of an expression that says, I think it's, if I'm butchering it, forgive me, but it's basically like, you are a rainbow and that person's colorblind. That's kind of what you're saying. That's the quote that's triggering in my mind. It's like, you could be all of the things. You could be the brightest of the colors. You could be shining like all of the spectrum. But if that person is colorblind, they're not going to see you for all of your glory. They're not going to see you in all of your color. They're not going to be able to appreciate you just because they cannot. That doesn't stop you from being a rainbow.
Yeah, and I will say this: it's probably one of the most difficult things to do, to be patient enough to say to yourself, "I'm actually okay." It's very difficult, so I'm not saying that easy to anyone who might be struggling with that.
No, absolutely, because I've definitely been in that position, and it's just like, bro, I actually was in a situation like that, and I was just, I did. It took me a minute, but I had to cut because, like I said, I was like, bruv, do you know how colourful I am? Like, what? You are not going to allow me to look at myself as grey, like when I know there's a hella lot of colour over here. If you want to be like with your blinkers and spectrum dulling views, then that's really, really up to you. But yeah, thank you for that, Mansour. Appreciate you. Jalita, baby. But Mansour, stay there because I've got another question that I'd like to ask you before you go. Manny says, Dark Night of the Soul. Girl, talk about it. Jalita, babes, what's your contributions?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me, sis. Really and truly, it's piggybacking off a lot of what everyone has said. And Brother Bear spoke about a lot of things. And first and foremost, it is so refreshing to be on a platform where men are being honest and vulnerable about themselves. It's not every day that someone can listen. And I know somebody, I think it was Thoughts by D, that said, someone said it, that you're going on panels and it's like being vulnerable and not being laughed at or not taken serious, or they're trying to break it down. And what I'm saying is literal. And often we're talking about accountability for self, we're talking about people pleasing and not needing to change. And the reality is really that it's taken me maybe about 4 years to realize certain things about myself, that I can be that, whether people pleasing and self gratification is so big, because we can talk about what is the love languages, right? And often when people ask me what's mine and so on and so forth, it's normally for me it's probably a bit of all of them. But the acts of service is big that not everyone gets. So I can do acts of service, but it's like I get the pleasure of doing something for somebody. And it's true, like Thoughts by D said, it's not just about people pleasing. There is a self happiness that you get when you're doing something for somebody, and it's just that you're happy that you've made that person happy. And having that self-awareness in yourself that, you know what, pouring into everybody's cup ends up leaving yours shallow. And I have had multiple times, as we speak right now, I have gone through weeks of feeling so down and realizing, okay, if I make this change, that change, this is where I have peace within myself. It's all about keeping your cup overflowing so that you can pour into others to a capacity where you're safe, where you're at peace, where you're secure, and you have a clear mind. Otherwise, you're no use to people. You're supposed to be, useful to people, not to be misused. And I think often people, experiences in our life is what allows us to have the breakdown of self-awareness, to be able to do better in your life. And not everybody has influences around themselves and things going on in their lives where they can have that moment of self-awareness and break it down. Not everyone does have it. It takes a lot for people to get to that space and say, do you know what? I've got to this place in my life and enough is enough and I need to make change, not to please anybody else, but for you.
But for myself.
And I think often
let me ask you a question, Julie. I don't want to interrupt you, but again, just because
that's fine, no problem.
Conversation. That was a beautiful share. First of all, can I just say that? So I thank you for coming in here and saying what you're saying. And actually, as you recognize that there's not everywhere that you can go to say the things that you said, I feel humbled by the fact that you actually felt like you could come here and say what you just said. So I want to thank you for that outpouring, first of all. And as the kind of conversation is about like how we're accountable for self and stuff like that, and you have acknowledged like, okay, there were times when I have been pouring into people, and you've said you kind of, it's been low energy of recent. How could you and other people who, and myself included, what kind of suggestions would you give for people who might find themselves in a space where they're giving beyond capacity? Because we've acknowledged there's nothing wrong with giving, especially if you want to, but if we find ourselves giving beyond capacity, what would be a suggestion that you would perhaps offer? Because again, it is our responsibility if we're doing that. That is us holding accountable for giving more than we have capacity to. Do you know what I mean? So what would be your suggestion?
First and foremost, I am a prayerful woman. So I pray. I keep good company. I'm honest with myself. Sometimes my own self-awareness scares me of how I deep stuff in life. But I think when you take time with self, I mean, it's not every party, every link up, every brunch, every little drink that you need to be at. Sometimes literally in your front room, TV off. Sometimes isolation is good so that it can expose what needs to be broken down. Asking for help. Asking for help. And maybe not everybody has that, but whatever resources are around you, utilize them. Whether it's a person, a professional, whether it's nature, you just have to make a move that allows you to create that space to build those boundaries, and analyzing what doesn't work for you. If it's your job, I've just had 3 weeks off because mentally I just couldn't figure it all out. Then I've gone back today, and as much as it was stressful, sorry.
I'm just saying, I'm sorry that it's been like that for you, and I feel like there is an energy at the minute of people feeling a bit down. So I'm really just kind of sending out to you that I hope that a shift can occur for you in that regard. But 100%. I love the fact that you're saying you're aware of it and you kind of know that it's there, and there's a level of acceptance, it sounds like, in that space for you. But you also are accountable for the fact that I know that this is here, I can accept it, but I can also do something to shift and navigate this.
Yeah, 100%. So I think it's just there's many things that you can do, like asking for your help, surrounding yourself with good people, reading, whatever it is, what works for you, praying, and taking time out for yourself, writing things down, journaling, whatever it is. It's taking time out for you to expose the things that need to be worked on, and then you can branch out into different avenues. It's not an easy journey. It's not done overnight. So I think that everybody should take a time for themselves.
Babes, and then she went mic drop. No, I think it's beautiful, and I think one of the a key takeaway for me, because there was a lot of information there that was a beautiful share, and I think just taking it easy, just taking time. I think a lot of the time we are so keen to get better, to fix, to change, and it's like we're just on this kind of hamster wheel and forcing ourselves to be in this journey. And I think actually the slower we go, the faster we will go, if that makes sense to anybody. Do you know what I mean? I think if we take time to really slow down, we might find that we get more done. There's a concept in Buddhism known as Wu Wei, which is the concept of doing nothing but doing everything. And I think that's really important. I would not even say important, I would say it's relevant, because if we understand just by slowing down, we can get a little bit more. Thank you for writing that, Mansour. Yes. We can just get a little bit clearer. You know, I shared this on a live before. I think I said it on Wellbeing Wednesday. There's this concept of if you have like a container mixed with like mud, I guess, and water, and you shake it about, that's us in a state of agitation and in a space of movement and always doing things. But if we allow the container to sit, then over time, with it just being still, the mud will settle, the water will raise to the top, and then there's clarity. Yeah, you don't have all the particles flowing all the way through. There's clarity then, and then you can actually see through. And I think that's really a nice way to kind of think about how we are. If we're all the time going, we don't give ourselves opportunity to settle down and allow that clarity to come. So yeah, that kind of concept of just chill out, bruv. Just breathe. Like she said, meditate, journal, take a little time for just all our meds, it's very, very relevant. Drop a 1 in the chat if anything I just said made sense to you. If it resonates, drop a 1 in the chat. Shouting out my guests. We've only got 10 minutes left. Okay, so we've got 2 guests still that I'd like to come to, and a lot has been said today, and I just don't think an hour is enough time to get through it all, but the hour is the hour. Jalea also touched on asking for help. Talking if an accountable space, I don't ask for help as much as I possibly could, to be fair. But the next question that I would like to ask is to Mansour and to Rox. Mansour first. Define vulnerability, because the reason why I'm asking this is because I feel like a lot of the time when we're talking about our situations in relationships, romantic specifically, let me contextualize, vulnerability comes up a lot. And I think we don't always own when we haven't been vulnerable. We don't always own when we haven't showed up in, that kind of naked, all bare formation. So I want to kind of know from you guys, Mansour, what does vulnerability look like to you, and do you believe that you've been as vulnerable as you could have been in your romantic relationships?
I don't think it's one of those things that you should do often or with everybody. I think you should only do that when you found someone that you're willing to take that leap of faith with, because there are some people who like you when you've got makeup on, but if you take that stuff off, there's only a few people that will be able to see your beauty without your makeup. So be very cautious about who you want to be vulnerable with. Me personally, as a man, why are you laughing at me? I'm trying to be deep here. What are you doing?
I'm receiving it, Mansour. I'm receiving it. Come on, give it to me.
But me personally, that's one of the things that I don't truly do often. I have before, and regardless whether it's worked out or not, for me, it was my truth test for that person who I was seeing. And regardless whether it worked or not, you as a person should try to be brave enough to explore that again, or else you will be building yourself up with these barriers that trap you inside a box rather than letting you see outside of it.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then, tell me if I've heard you correctly, is that you believe in vulnerability, but you believe in discernment with your vulnerabilities. That I'm not just going to be this way. I'm not going to be this open and this naked with anybody. I need to see and experience a level of safety before I can give you that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
And I think for a lot of people that kind of makes sense, because I've already seen in the comments a lot of people saying you need safety to be vulnerable. And I know having conversations with women, there's often a conversation around feeling safe. And this kind of concept that you hear women saying, well, if a man wants me to be feminine with them, I need to feel a level of safety. So I think there's similarities in those approaches, that you need a level of containment in order to have that kind of exposure, so to speak. Thank you for that, Mansour. Appreciate you. Feel free to drop, because we're going to close in a little bit, and I don't currently have any more questions for you, my darling, but thank you so much for your contributions. I appreciate you being here. Rockstar, we're coming to you, mama, and the same question. Vulnerability, what is it for you, and do you think honestly you have been as vulnerable as you could have been in your previous relationships?
So my eyes were so wide when this comment came up. My eyes were so big. No, 100%. I don't think I've been vulnerable in all of my relationships because I didn't know what that looked like. As everyone has said, vulnerability is safety, but a lot of times we don't know what makes us feel safe until we feel unsafe. And so for me, not for everyone, vulnerability looks like transparency and being able to have all the information so that I can make choices. And so when people are saying like, oh, you need to feel safe to be vulnerable, you need to have all the information to be able to make that choice to be vulnerable, for me personally. So,
wait, one second. Let me just, I want to make sure that it hit the way I thought that it hit. Yeah. So are you saying that even if the space is created for you to step into, you have to be willing to take the step to do the things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because here's the reality. Like, the safe can be space. The space can be safe.
Yeah.
But I don't have all the information. Like, I don't know what's around that corner. So I've stepped into a space and it looks safe, but I don't have all the information. I don't know what chair you've put down there. I'm using analogies. I don't know if you've left the window open and something might come in. I don't. So for me, it's like, people always talk about safe spaces, but they're like, they don't know what actually makes them feel safe.
Right. Okay. That's the main point. That's where I kind of felt that you was going there. Yes, absolutely. And I completely agree with you. And that's another thing that kind of ties into accountability, isn't it? Because it's very easy to blame someone else from not making you feel safe. But then the question is, have I been explicit in what safety is for me? Have I even taken the time, again, when we were talking about shadow work, have I dug to my depths to understand the things that I need to create that safety for me, to then allow someone to assist me in making that space what I need it to be for me to have that level of vulnerability?
Girl, 100%. Because a lot of the times we say things like, and I'm not saying this to anyone in particular, but we say, I want to feel safe. I want to be able to be vulnerable. And it's like, when the person says to you, what do you need? You don't know.
All of a sudden it's
100%. So for me, like you said, it's shadow work. It's going, okay, what are the things that make me feel safe? I'm going to offer this up to this person, and they're going to be able to say, yeah, I can do it, or no, I can't. And if they can't, walk away. Because that's another thing as well. It's like, you want them to give you that. They can't always. So you need to go, don't make me feel safe. I'm out.
It's literally a case of help me to help you. Thank you, Sam. No, I hear that 100%, Rox, and I'm low-key a little bit triggered. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Listen, always triggered when I come in here.
I am triggered right now as I sit here, bro. No, I'm triggered. I'm not even going to say why. I'm just going to acknowledge, yeah, we're talking about accountability. As I sit here right now having this conversation with you guys, I am triggered, yeah, about that. No, I'll say it because we're having a conversation. I'm triggered because I have found myself in that situation where somebody has said that they've wanted to feel safe, and I've inquired what it was that they needed. I've inquired, I've opened the space for them to share. They haven't even been aware. They haven't even been able to say what it was. The actual words that I had was, even if you knew, you wouldn't even be able to do it. Sorry, what? So, come again? So yes, I'm triggered right now because I've literally been in that space where I've been offering myself, my energy as a safe space. And yeah, that person had no idea what safety was for them anyway. So it made it challenging to be that, and sometimes we have to use our own kind of filters and discernment to kind of be like, okay, well, that's your work. That's your job. Do you know what I mean? That whole thing of like, if the Amazon man brings the parcel to the door, it's like, bruv, you look on the label and it's not your name on there. It's like, babes, this ain't mine. So I'm going to give that back to you and you can take that over there.
So in that regard, it's definitely accountability on their part. And so a lot of people struggle, not all, with taking accountability for what they expect a person to know without actually knowing. There's an expectation, and this is the last thing I'm going to say because I'm triggered, because I'm talking from experience. Yeah, a lot of people have expectations for people to meet requirements that they haven't set. And my thing is like, you can't. If you have expectations, you're always going to have disappointment. But if you have requirements, people know where they need to meet you at. Set those requirements,
set them,
and allow them. Yeah, make me know.
Yes, me know me can do it. If me no know, me can't do it.
Right, microphone muted now. Microphone drop now. It's muted. You get me. You feel me.
100%. Let me know, and then do you know what? We could, but we're not going to do it. But on this point, if you let the person know, it gives them now space to meet you or to actively let you know, I can't do that. And then they can then everybody knows where they're at. Do you know what I mean? If you're not saying, then it's like, The other person doesn't know what they need to do for you. You're now pissed because you're not getting what you need, and it's just a cycle of nonsense. So yeah, let the people them know, guys. This is the closing thought. Let people know what you want and what you need. Ultimately, a lie. Rocks, are you telling me yes? What's this in the comments right here?
No, I've 100% no. I co-sign every. That's why I mute my mic, because I could be here all night with you talking
Babes.
about accountability, requirements, expectations, transparency, vulnerability, all of these
All
things.
the things, yeah,
Right,
and we
all the
will.
things. So,
I know
we
lots of
will.
people I've seen in the comments go to 10 o'clock. We're not going to 10 o'clock, guys. We will continue the conversation next week. We'll be back. Last week I got told, and I'm actually going to start using this, I got told that we were the right side of TikTok. So, but I'm reframing it and saying this is the light side of TikTok. So if you enjoy the light side of TikTok, we'll be back here again Thursday, 8:30. Thank you, Jalita. So to summarize the conversation, well, it's not really a summary point because we've kind of had a plethora of insight, really. But what I really loved about this evening is that people have come on. You have been vulnerable. You guys have been accountable. Yeah, you have shared your stories and your truths, and you've done it, like Jalita said, in a way that people feel comfortable to hear and receive. And it's just beautiful to me that you guys are here to do that, and you appreciate it, and you're coming in. And I've seen people who are here consistently every week, and I'm just hoping that we can continue to kind of build on this energy, build this community, and we can make it a whole situation, keeping the light side of TikTok. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for all of this. I can't say it because of TikTok, but thank you for that. In the last few minutes, you've got like a minute left. If you feel like this conversation has been of value, if you feel like you can take something away from it, then I would appreciate if you could give something to it, but zero obligation. Just give what you think that you got, or not, as the case may be. Another thing that I would really love for people to do, on my TikTok profile, I've got a YouTube link. I would love, really appreciate if everyone could just tap on that YouTube link and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because a lot of these conversations that we're going to be having, we're going to be having over there. Shh, don't tell everyone. Yeah. So I will still be doing a lot of TikTok content. Did I say it right? TikTok. Yeah. TikTok content. But I also will be doing a lot of exclusive, I can't say too much about it, but there will be other content over there. So please, if you feel like you can't gift here, a gift for me would literally just be a subscription on the YouTube. That would be amazing. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This has been the Civilised Sessions. We will be back 8:30 next week. We also have Wellbeing Wednesday. So if you want to have a bit of a wellbeing conversation with me, come through and have that. Big love. Thank you so much, Jalita. Thank you for gifting up my guests.
Thank you for having me.
Anything you want to say, guys, before we go?
No, you're just doing amazing. Thank you. I look forward to the future sessions as well.
Thank you, Mama. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And no matter what you do, remember, don't stop. Keep growing. Bye, guys.